These are the big three. Laurent Aiello, the point leader in the Super Touring Car Cup. Johnny Cicconto from BMW, a challenger for the Cup and always very tough. And Joachim Winkelhock coming on strong with 2 wins, and Sachsenring wants to continually improve. Then there's Jörg van Olmen in the Peugeot. The car has run well. He just would like to do a lot better than he has. And Emmanuel Pirro continues to work on the Audi, and it continues to come forward. And there's Uwe Alsen. 2 third-place finishes in the last race weekend has brought hope for Opel. Can they all improve? Well, we'll find out in the Super Touring Car Cup. Today, coming to you from the Norisring in Germany. Hello, everyone. This is Milt Fitzwater reporting. Welcome to the Norisring in Nuremberg, Germany. A street course with a lot of straights, very long straights, and over 104,000 fans here to watch these cars get underway today in the first of the 2 races on the schedule. On the pole position is this man, Laurent Aiello. It's the 3rd time this season that he's been on the pole for the sprint race. He qualified at 95.91 miles per hour.
We made a setup for hard braking, and also last year we had big problems on short hairpins. We cure it. Now we can go under the corner very much easier than last year. So the car is much better than we imagined to be there. So we will see. I think on qualifying will be okay. For the race, it's another thing. We have to work on the warm-up, and we will see.
On the outside pole, the BMW of Joachim Winkelhock. 2 victories at Sachsenring, put him back in the championship. Could be different here at the Norisring, though.
I'm sure we have a chance in the second race, in the main race, because the first race, the sprint race, is only 50 kilometers, and so I think our possibility to win the race, which we have, is in the second race, because there it's necessary to find a good rhythm, to have a little bit of tactic to save the tire, and hopefully I'm in front in the last lap in front of the Peugeot, but I don't know. But I must say I'm happy with the result at the moment.
Starting 3rd, the Peugeot of Jörg van Olmen, once again up front. Can he make it to the podium? Emmanuel Pirro in the Audi, qualifying 4th. He wants to improve on a 4th place finish, the best so far for Audi. And there's a look at the course here at the Norisring, 2.3 kilometers long, 1.43 miles long. It can be a tough course for the brakes.
Here in this circuit, the brakes are always under pressure, and you always have also to think a little bit of the distance of the race. And okay, there you have also a chance to overtake, and then you come back the main straight. There's nothing more to say. It's just 4 corners, but it will be a very hard race.
And what about the Audis? Can Emmanuel Pirro make it to the podium?
I'm optimistic inside, but a little bit realistic. And the next part of the season, we're going in fast circuits, which are not very good for us. So we will see. We for sure try very, very hard.
We'll find out. We're about ready to go here at the Norisring, the 5th race weekend of the season, the Super Touring Car Cup 1997. 30 cars waiting for the green. Aiello is on the left. Winkelhock is on the right in the BMW, the white BMW. It's a long shot before they hit a hairpin, so it's very important to get a good start here before they get into the hairpin, which sorts the field out very quickly. Here we go. And Aiello doesn't look like he got the greatest of starts, but Winkelhock certainly did. And look at Pirro, and there go 2 cars off. Manuel Reuter and Christian Menzel's car have gone off the course right at the very start. Meanwhile, Winkelhock gets a shot up front, and look at that. Emmanuel Pirro in the Audi is now running in 2nd place. That's a new feeling for him and also for the Audi fans. They haven't been running that far up front in quite some time. Listen to the fans, and you look in the back and you see all those red hats. Those are Audi fans, and they come by the thousands here. Pirro still running on the left there on the inside. Winkelhock is your leader. A car has spun in the back of the pack in the corner. Continue to work their way through these short turns here at the Norisring. This is the back section, which will bring them into the long front straightaway in front of the grandstand. And there's Winkelhock in front, and now The Peugeot of Laurent Aiello has moved into second place. Pirro is dropped back to third, and Jorg van Olmen is trying to get by Pirro. And will he make it into the hairpin? It looks like he has. That yellow Peugeot of Jorg van Olmen is now in third place. Joachim Winkelhock is your leader. Then comes Laurent Aiello up against the cement wall in the back part of the course. Take another look at that restart. Watch in the lower center of your screen as Reuter is bumped by Christian Abt, and then he runs right into Christian Menzel, who had absolutely no choice in the matter. A bystander whose race was quickly ended. Another look at it. Reuter goes out, runs right into Menzel, and that's actually a shame for Reuter. That was his best starting position all season. Back up front, there comes Winkelhock into the hairpin, leading Aiello, but Aiello comes back around on the inside. This is the battle that everyone has been waiting for all season long. Peugeot against BMW, and they're running side by side. Joachim Winkelhock, your leader. And Van Olmen now has a chance to get by Aiello, as Aiello made a mistake in the chicane. So the two Peugeots are running side by side at this moment, and Winkelhock is taking off and leaving them behind. Van Olmen has taken over second place. Aiello has dropped back to third. He made a mistake, and Pirro is running in fourth place at this moment. Running back in the fifth slot is the teammate from Joachim Winkelhock, Johnny Cecotto. And he now is attacking Emmanuel Pirro in the Audi, this for fourth place. So the top five running in a train here at the Norisring. Cecotto in that white with the red trim BMW right up behind Pirro. And look at Joachim Winkelhock has now set himself a little bit apart from the two Peugeots. Aiello is settled into third place with Van Olmen ahead of him, his teammate. The battle right now is right behind them. Can Johnny Cecotto get by Emmanuel Pirro? Joachim Winkelhock continues to lead. Looking back at the hairpin, a couple of cars bumping just a little bit there to get around the corner. An Audi and an Alfa Romeo. Here comes Cecotto once again, right up on the back bumper of the Audi. And Pirro now is looking at Jorg van Olmen, and Aiello has gotten by Jorg van Olmen. Laurent Aiello has taken over second place. And this is the battle back in the pack for seventh place. The Audi with the blue mirrors is Tamara Vidali, and right behind her is Marco Werner in the Honda. This is the battle for seventh. Ahead of them is another of the Audi team. This is the private team from Abt Racing, and that is Christian Abt, who is ahead of them. Right now, Marco Werner is putting the pressure on Tamara Vidali for seventh place. Vidali has not had the season she would like to have and has had her share of problems. Back up front, once again, Johnny Cecotto in that white BMW is putting the pressure on Emmanuel Pirro. They continue to battle now for the fourth slot. And that is some tight racing. Track of the Norisring. This is the one chicane where it's really kind of busy, and then there are the two hairpins at either end of it that bring them back around again. And right there, as you see, they come by out of that chicane right up against a cement wall. Cecotto is on the back bumper of Emmanuel Pirro, but cannot get by. Pirro is holding him off successfully. There's your up front group. They're starting to lap cars already. Pirro is holding off Cecotto. And meanwhile up front, Joachim Winkelhock goes into the hairpin, and here comes Aiello right up behind him as they go by one of the Alfa Romeos, putting them in the lap down. So there's a lap car now between Aiello and Van Olmen. And then comes Emmanuel Pirro with Cecotto right behind him. And that is Leopold van Bayern in the BMW going wide. He had a problem with his brakes there. He was just a little bit getting late getting onto them and spun a little bit. So your leaders are now starting to battle very, very tightly. Van Omen gets by the lapped Alfa Romeo, and Chicano continues to put the pressure on Pirro. Meanwhile, Aiello now has pulled up on the back bumper of Joachim Winkelhock, so we have two major battles going on here. Pirro is making the Audi as wide as he possibly can so that Chicano can't get by him. You're looking at the battle back in the pack a little bit. There's Bartels in the Opel trying to work his way forward. That yellow Opel with the yellow front and the white top. And the rest of the pack continuing to battle here as the Nissans are back a little bit of ways. They've not had the season that they would like to have. They try to continue to work their way to the front, but it's been a lot of work for them. And there goes Kurt Thiem off that cement wall. Thiem is known to like to use the barriers periodically, but not quite that hard, I don't think. Winkelhock being pressured now by Aiello. Van Omen, and then comes Pirro, and there is a part of his car hanging down in the back. Chicano is running fifth, and there's something hanging down from Pirro's car. Part of the fender, it looks like. But Chicano just can't get by Emmanuel Pirro for fourth. There's your leader. They're running 1 and 2. Van Omen is by himself in the Peugeot there, the yellow Peugeot, running third. And then there's the battle for fourth and fifth. And the races leading up to this weekend, well, here comes Chicano, and he's beside him. Can he get by Pirro? They've got a long run now, and Chicano gets by him. Now Chicano will make the BMW as wide as he can, so the Pirro can't get by him. Getting back to what we were saying, the battle between the Peugeot and the BMW is not really developed as much because in most races, one of them jumped out in front. It was hard for the other to catch up. But here at the Norisring, Winkelhock and Laurent Aiello are running close. But we're still watching this battle for fourth and fifth as Chicano starts to pull away now from Emmanuel Pirro. So Chicano seemed to have the faster car, finally got by, and is now running fourth. Pirro is going to have to work if he wants to catch up. That brightly colored day glow yellow right there that's coming around is Christian Abt. You can't miss that one. That's in the private team, Abt team. They're Audi. At the beginning of the season, they were running as well as the factory teams were. To the chagrin of the factory, of course. Here comes Aiello on the inside, and he gets by Winkelhock going into the hairpin. Laurent Aiello takes the lead here for the first time at the Norisring. And here comes Winkelhock going outside. And Aiello cuts him off as they head through the chicane. And Aiello has recorded the fastest lap so far in the race here at the Norisring. It's been kind of interesting. Aiello has started on the pole, and Winkelhock last race weekend at the Sachsenring was on the outside, came and took the victory, and then won the second race. And it looked like he had the jump here to do the same thing, but right now he's had to drop back into second place behind Laurent Aiello. Meanwhile, Jorg Van Omen continues to run a strong third, actually playing a waiting game, watching what's happening up here up front. Aiello is the point leader in the championship, and that driver's points championship is actually very, very close. You have Aiello out in front with 312 points. Chicano is running second with 260, and Winkelhock with 227. Winkelhock had that very bad race weekend at the Nürburgring where he fell out twice. And we have a pace car out on the course. The pace car has come out on the course, but is now going back in again. There was something on the course to be checked. Meanwhile, the race continues, and Laurent Aiello continues to lead. And Joachim Winkelhock is not in a position as yet to really make a challenge. This course is tough on the brakes, particularly because of this hairpin right here, but there's another one at the other end of the course which brings him back to the start-finish line. Good look at the pit lane, which is put up every year for the 200 miles of Nuremberg, a traditional race here in the city of Nuremberg. They like to call it the Little Monte Carlo. And the fans come by the thousands for the entire weekend, over 104,000 fans. It's an idyllic setting here with a lake to one side, a park, and of course a number of racing fans. That's Michel Bartels being challenged now by Stefano Modena in the Alfa Romeo. Modena has been the top driver among the Alfa clan this season, and behind him is Uwe Alsen, who's had his share of problems. You're riding with him right now as he gets a chance to look at this group. Modena swings by Bartels. This is the battle for 9th position. So now Alsen also gets by and has Modena right in front of him. Well, he's not quite. Look at that. They're running side by side down the straight. That is Modena in that red Alfa Romeo, followed by Uwe Alsen. And on the left in that yellow and white Opel is Michel Bartels. He's not in a good position. He'll lose a slot here going into the hairpin. And here comes Alsen. He bumps Modena, but Modena holds on coming out of the hairpin. And you were right there in a front row seat. Bartels has dropped back 2 positions then. So Stefano Modena continues to be the man for Alfa Romeo. It's basically all private teams. They're getting some help from the factory, but there really is no factory team as such. And so a lot of the Alfa Romeo fans have been a little disappointed in their performance this year, but they've been working as hard as they can to get the car competitive on their own. Bartels is once again being challenged. But right now it's Stefano Modena that's putting on the show. Modena and Uwe Alsen. Uwe Alsen has had a tremendous season when you consider he's jumped between cars, and then he had that great race. And Bartels is bumped by Sascha Mazen, and then he runs into Ivan Muller, and his car is damaged. At the braking point going into the hairpin, they collided. And we have a black flag. So, take another look at it. Bumped by Sascha Mazen, Bartels then runs into Ivan Muller. Mazen gets by. But there's damage to Bartels' car. Looks like the front fender. Meanwhile, up front, Jochen Winkelhock is back out in front of Laurent Aiello. So through all these incidents in the back of the pack, Jochen Winkelhock is taking the lead once again. So he's back to where he was after the start of the race. Jörg van Olmen continues to run third here at the Norisring. Jochen Winkelhock really does have to do well this race and probably the next one so that he's 100% back into the points race. Because what happens is toward the end of the season, the drivers with the chance for the driver's title naturally get a little bit of an advantage, because if they're running up front and need a little help from their teammates, usually the teammates are going to give it to them, particularly if the teammate's in front and they let the other car by so they get some more points. That doesn't happen in the beginning or the mid part of the season, but as we head toward the end of the season, that's what can happen. And Ciccarro had jumped out to a big lead on Winkelhock in the points race. And Winkelhock was kind of worried that if he couldn't get some good points and get back into it, he may have to play helper here. He will gladly do it, but he's a charger like many of these drivers, and he does not like the idea of doing it particularly, but he will do it. And if he can win this race after the 2 wins at the Sachsenring, he will be back right up there even with Ciccarro for second place in the points, right behind Aiello, who is running very well here in the points, running second. He'll pick up a good number of points in the race, so he'll have a chance to hold on to the lead, but the key here for Winkelhock is to win it. It's critical that he does, as far as he's concerned, because he wants to keep his chances for the championship open. And with Ciccarro running back in about 4th place right now, Winkelhock knows he's going to have to keep pushing and keep running up front. And Aiello seems to have backed off a little bit in 2nd place. He is not breathing down the back fender of Winkelhock like he was before. Laurent Aiello certainly knows when he has to charge. He also knows when he's going to get points and what points he needs. So Winkelhock ahead of Aiello and Van Olmen, who's been running a very consistent 3rd place. Sprint race made up of 22 laps. After that will come the feature. That will run 44 laps. In the pits, Philipp Peter, the Audi driver. He's had a disappointing season so far. It looks like his first race is over with. Jochen Winkelhock continues to lead in that white, blue-trimmed BMW, followed by the brightly colored yellow Peugeot, Laurent Aiello. You have the Winkelhock third in the points, Aiello first in the points. The second man in the points, Johnny Ciccato, right now is running fourth. And Jörg van Omen is running third. Now, he doesn't get a lot of credit when you consider that he has been running behind Aiello, and Aiello's been basically getting top billing here. Van Omen is fourth in the points and has been doing very consistent work. He has not had any problems. He has not won yet. His best finish has been a third place finish. He's been very consistent, though, and he's one of these drivers that you kind of overlook until all of a sudden the points are starting to be totaled, and then you wonder where he came from. There's Dirk Müller, one of the new young drivers in the series, leading Leopold von Bayern. Back in the pack aways, there's Marco Werner, bumping a little bit with Ivan Müller to get by in the hairpin. Very tight racing here at the Norisring. It may be long straights, but when the time comes to go into the hairpin, the action gets very, very tight. There's Hager, there comes Asch, Muller, and Burgstaller. These cars running back in the pack just a little bit of ways. The Nissan slowly getting better. When you talk to the team manager, Arnold Sinzen, you can tell the man wants to bring that car forward, but he has a lot of work to do, and he knows that this is a development year for them. Actually, the manufacturer is very happy with their performance. They're getting better and better. But as we say, when you know Arnold Sinzen, you know that man wants to win, and that car will be better. He himself is saying, next year is our year. We'll be able to work with this car, get it worked out, and then it should be very, very tough in the years to come, and that's what he's hoping for. So the car continues to be developed and worked, and there goes Leopold von Bayern right up against the cement. That'll do it every time, and he's going to have to park the car. But his man here is not going to have to park any cars. Jochen Winkelhock, lights on, he's in front, and he's got a little bit of breathing room between himself and Laurent Aiello, who seems to have settled in for a second place finish. Another look at von Bayern as he goes into that cement wall. And Winkelhock now in a class to himself in the sprint race here. Laurent Aiello is there, and look at this. Johnny Ciccato now has pulled up behind Jörg van Omen. This is the battle for third place, and Ciccato wants those points. He had a difficult weekend at the Sachsenring, and he wants points here. He's running fourth. He'd like to get by Jörg van Omen. That would prevent Jochen Winkelhock from pulling too close to him in the points race. But van Omen is going to be tough to get by. He is not easy to pass. Side by side we go. And the checkered flag for Jochen Winkelhock. And it looks like van Omen did finish third in a very tight finish. And a happy Pagazzi team crew that builds Winkelhock's car. There's your winner, Jochen Winkelhock. It's his third win in a row, his second sprint victory in a row. He is now back into the points race. Aiello, Ciccato, van Omen, Pirro with a fifth place finish. Audis continue to be strong. Vidali is seventh, a good finish for her. Marco Werner finishing well, coming in eighth. Man of the day is this one, Jochen Winkelhock, the victor in the sprint race in Norisring.
Yeah, I didn't expect to beat him already in the first race, but I must say, so now we have a good chance also for the second race, of course. But anyway, I think the race is over 44 laps, and it will be quite difficult, no question, especially for the driver.
So there's a break in the action as the fans get a chance to take a stretch. The mechanics go to work to get the cars ready for the second race of the day. And while we watch them do that, we also have a chance to tell you about this man who's dominated the season so far, Laurent Aiello. He's won 2 sprints and 2 features. All this by a man who gave up formula racing for touring cars in 1993.
And I started in French Championship with BMW. That was my first season, and I finished second in the championship. And I saw very quickly that there was a big how do you say, the concurrence was very hard. Championship was good, drivers were good, the cars, and everything was very professional. And I said, okay, yes, I think you are in a good position.
Not every driver would have thought this way, Formula racing being the dominant force in Europe. He's done well in touring cars, but what turns him on about driving them?
I think touring cars are more difficult to drive than a single-seat car, for sure. Because on fast corner the car is moving more and sliding more, and you have to be quick around the corner. The control of the car is more important with a touring car than a single-seat car.
The one thing that seems to be a key to his success is the family life. His wife Jardine and daughter Marie, and there's quite a balancing act involved, mixing racing and family life.
When she came on the race, I think it's a good support for me. Also, my daughter is coming, and it's good to have a family around, because it gives you confidence. And on the bad time, on the bad moments, it's nice to have the family close to you to have less pressure and everything. It's nice.
The question now is, when will Marie start to tell him how to drive each course? Oh, that comes later. So we're ready to go in the second race of the day in the Super Touring Car Cup weekend. The race, the feature race. On the left in that white BMW, Winkelhock gets a good start. There's Aiello jumping into second place. Pirro goes to the outside, and Johnny Cicotto gets inside Aiello. Cicotto, as we head toward the hairpin, looks like he's still running side by side with Aiello, and Aiello pulls in front of him as they go into the hairpin. Let's see what happens. And Cicotto bumps into Aiello and spins him, and we have a traffic jam at the hairpin. It's worse than 5 o'clock on the freeway here. Everybody finally gets sorted out of the hairpin. And we'll find out what bumping went on and who got what where, if we can here. Everyone is still running very, very tight, and it looks like Aiello has problems. And the only ones not having problems were probably Winkelhock, who was running up front all by himself. Chris Nissen is running up there right along with the leaders, but we have to wait and see when they get the shot to find out where everybody is here. There is your leader. Then comes Jorg van Omen. Then comes Emmanuel Pirro running third. Meanwhile, the bumping goes on back in the back, and Marco Werner's car has had some damage up on the front fender. Through the chicane, there you see Werner's car. And Aiello has come to the pits. The point leader is in the pits with problems. Another look as Cicotto bumped right in and spun out Aiello. And now Aiello has had to go to the pits, and that has hurt him in the points if he can't get back out again. Because if Winkelhock can stay up front, that'll mean he'll close in on Aiello very, very quickly. Another car going wide here. There is Aiello going wide before he went into the pits on that replay there. Winkelhock has got a lead now on Jorg van Omen. There is Pirro, and Pirro is being challenged by Christian Abt in the Audi private team. So it's Audi against Audi, but it's the factory team and Pirro against the private team of Christian Abt. And whether he's going to be able to get by him or not is another question. But you can imagine how the factory team folks are pulling their hair out a little bit. Wonder why that private team is so strong, and boy, have they been running well. There is Cicotto, and something's wrong with the front spoiler on his car. Johnny Cicotto has a problem with the spoiler right there. You can see on the right side of the front of the car. Evidently in that bump with Aiello, things didn't go too well. He may have to come to the pit with that one, and if Cicotto goes to the pit, and Winkelhock then, it's pretty much a free sailing afternoon here in the feature race. A lot can happen in the 44 laps, but still. This early in the race, the main contenders for the championship and the Drivers' Championship having problems. this will mark the halfway season, part of the season. A very important point. You're riding with Philipp Peter in the Audi right now, and you get a good look at the course. Coming down the front straight with the pits on to the right, heading down here to a slight swing to the right. It gets a little bumpy at the braking point as they get ready to set up for the hairpin, which is right here. You get a good look as we go into the hairpin. You come wide off, almost up against the barrier. Then there's a short shot here as you head down toward the chicane. It's a right-hander between the barriers, and you get a good look at Philipp Peter at work. Headed now out toward the back hairpin, which will head them back toward the start-finish line. Meanwhile, back in the pack, there's a lot of bumping going on. That is Christian Donner, along with Nieswitz and Kurt Thiem on the inside. Boy, 3 abreast going through the corner, and the bumping is getting to be ferocious here. And there's Jorg van Omen. He's running very well here in the second race. Has a chance for the podium, it looks like. Meanwhile, Johnny Cecotto has pulled off and is headed down toward the pit lane. Cecotto in the BMW is heading to the pits. This is the second man in the points race. Here we have another battle from the Audi crew. Vidali and Müller in the battle for 6th place. There comes the Nissan of Asch, Alfred Hager and the Nissan. Behind them, another of the Opels. Things didn't quite go as Opel might have liked in the first race. They had qualified so well, and then when Reuter went out in the very first moment, it was very difficult for them. So they continue to have their share of problems. They just doesn't seem to go well for them here. But the Audis also staying together, creating a battle among themselves, which can also cause people to have their hair torn out. When we look back in that first race, the best Opel was Alexander Burgstaller, and he came in 13th. Jochen Winkelhock is your leader, and Jorg van Omen now has pulled up behind him. Not exactly on the bumper, but he's letting him know he's there. So Jorg van Omen, with a chance for his best finish this season, is challenging for the lead here in the feature race in the Super Touring Car Cup at the Norisring. Jochen Winkelhock, the winner of the first race, took the lead in the second and has held on to it so far, but now he has a challenge from Jorg van Omen. He was able to pull away in the opening moments, but since then, van Omen slowly crept up on him. Van Omen has had a 3rd place finish, and that was his best finish so far, and that was back in the very first race of the season at Hockenheim in the sprint race. He came in 4th in the feature on that weekend. And then he's been in and out of the top 10 most of the time. He's done quite well to stay in the points. There's Dirk Mueller, a new young driver, 21 years old, gaining experience in touring cars. The battle between Peugeot and BMW. It's the first time that they really have been this close head-to-head all season long. And it's a treat for the fans who have followed the series, because everyone's been waiting for this day. In the past few races, one course has suited one car better than the other, and they have not been able to go head-to-head. But now they are. And Winkelhock has his hands full. He's looking for his 4th win in a row if he could take this one, which would mean he definitely is up into the points race. And with Cecotto in the pits having problems, Winkelhock might even be able to take over 2nd place. Aiello also in the pits with problems, so Winkelhock may not be able to pass him necessarily, but he certainly can pull closer to him. And you know the Peugeot crew is urging Jorg van Omen on. Van Omen is a very smart driver. He will conserve the car and necessarily conserve the brakes, which are the key here at the Norisring with its very sharp hairpins. And he'll be ready to make a charge once we get toward the last quarter of the race, if not before then. Winkelhock, another of those very experienced touring car drivers. He wins on just about every single course you can imagine. He has said that the last year that he spent in the English Touring Car Championship was a great learning experience for him, particularly on how to conserve the car, how to work with the tires. He's done extremely well with it. More battles back in the pack between Nissan, Honda, and Muller in the Audi. You have Roland Asch in front of Alfred Hager, battling back in the pack with Muller, also a driver who's had his share of problems coming in from France. But then again, you can't really say whether drivers having problems or not. The Audi team has had to have a rebuilding season after their championship year last year, so drivers coming into a car that's in development certainly have it difficult. You can ask the champ, Emmanuel Pirot, who has gone from a dominant force into catch-up status in the series this year. The cars have sorted themselves out here at the Norisring in the second race, and Abt has problems and is going out, and Johnny Ciccardo has come back into the pits. So it looks like Ciccardo is going to probably park it this time, and there's not much chance of points here in the feature race. So Jochen Winkelhock, his teammate, possibly, and if he can stay out there and win this one, will pass Ciccardo in the points chase. And Jörg von Ullmann, who is running second, will certainly improve at least his fourth place position. There's the Burgstaller car. It is parked to the right side of the course. Alexander Burgstaller spun into the tires and now is pulling off and keeps on going. This is Kurt Thiem in the Opel. He's had his share of learning experience. He didn't race in the first race, and then wasn't going to race in the first race, and then Klaus Ludwig decided not to drive, and so he took over. And once again, the Burgstaller car is parked, this time though, right up against the guardrail. Alexander Burgstaller's car parked right at the guardrail. And we're going to have a safety car phase here. They're going to bring out the pace car. Evidently, they're having some problems with the Burgstaller car. And so the pace car comes out here at the Norisring. We're now told that there will be a restart, so the cars will go back to line up again. And while we do that, we had talked to Johnny Ciccardo about his great race at the Sachsenring, which is good and bad.
Well, the problem was all in the first corner where I was pushed out, and so I had to restart from the last position. I was catching up, but then Vidali, she had an accident in front of me, and I had to stop completely. Then I was again in the last position, and in the meantime, after one lap, the pace car came out. So I stayed out for a lot of time. So I had not really a chance to recover much. The last few laps, when the race restart, I went from the 26th positions to the 15th position. And from there I started the second race. In a few laps I managed to go on in the third position. But to do that I had to stress a lot my tires. And this circuit, Sachsenring, was very hard on tires. So for this, at the middle of the race, I was already without tires, and I struggled to finish the race, and I finished finally in 5th position. It could have been the end. It could have been much better, but okay. I mean, it was the best I could do.
Ciccardo did well in the first race here, but now he is in the pits at the Norisring, and so he's going to have to watch as we get ready for a restart. Alexander Burgstaller was injured in that crash, but as far as we are told, everything is still okay, but he's being taken to the hospital for checks. The race now will be 14 laps to the finish as the cars have lined up for the restart here at the Norisring. The 200 miles of Nuremberg, it's called. We're ready to go. Winkelhock on the left, Van Olmen on the right. BMW left, Peugeot right. Waiting for the green and the restart. Here we go. It's now become a sprint race, and look at the start on that gray Audi of Manuel Pirro. What a great start he had to take over second place. Wow, what a jump he got. And so did Chris Nissen in that bright yellow Audi. Oh, this restart changes the field just a little bit. Jörg Van Olmen dropped long way back. He had a very bad start. He is now in 5th place, and 2 cars go off, Muller included, at the hairpin. But now Jörg Van Olmen is charging once again to try to move up to the front. He had a very bad start. And you consider he was 2nd, and now has dropped way back into 6th place. He's got his work cut out for him. There's your leader, Winkelhock, and Manuel Pirro is running 2nd. He had a great start. Audi fans here in the Norisring certainly can be happy, because Audi has not had that much to cheer about this season, but if they can run 2nd here at least, and if he could possibly get by Winkelhock, what a great race day it would be for them. The 2 cars that went off still on the guardrail there at the hairpin. The track crews will get them cleared away as quickly as they can. There's a lot of bumping going on as cars were spun and tapped, and when they went off, you're looking at Uwe Alsen's car as he tries to go through traffic here. It gets very, very tight, and look at the bumping there. Whoa, and cars spinning left and right. So it became very tight as Miller, one of the cars, going off. And also another look going around a different time at the hairpin. You can see that the key to this race is getting through that hairpin. Everybody's having problem. Uwe Alsen spinning here. So Alsen, who had such a great race at the Sachsenring, has had his problems here at the Norisring. Meanwhile, back in the pack, this is Michel Bartels, but he had a bad start way back in the pack, and he got involved in that bumping that went in the corner and is now being lapped by Roland Asch. And Asch is running right around 7th place right now. So Bartels has a long road ahead of him, but he started way back in the pack, and it's very difficult to make up that much ground that he has to make up. He's being challenged by Christian Abt, and Abt just sails right by him. Abt in that private Audi, once again running very, very strong here. So Asch right now, according to the chart we have, is running a 6th with Abt 7th right behind him. You're riding with Philip Pater once again with another look at the course here at the Norisring. Pater running back in 11th position. And once again, Uwe Alsen has problems. Boy, this second race has been tough for him. He has spun now a couple of times. He stays out of the wall, but he certainly loses positions very quickly that way. There's Philip Pater. Ahead of him is Klaus Niedzwitz. Pater had problems in the first race, and now just has to keep challenging to see if that he can come forward. Niedzwitz also not having quite the season he might like, but he's in a private car, and the Audi is strong but not quite strong enough, and they still have a lot of work to do. His teammate is Dirk Muller, the young 21-year-old we saw a little bit earlier. Now we have the battle back in the pack here involving Van Olmen, who has had to charge to get back into position here. Manuel Pirro is still running 2nd, and now Van Olmen has moved into 3rd place. So Jörg Van Olmen had a terrible start here in the feature race, has moved from 6th place back up to 3rd place. He's probably a little disgusted with himself, but he has to see what he can do. And Manuel Pirro right now has a chance to bring the Audi squad their best finish of the season so far. Pirro this season so far in the features, he had a 9th at Hockenheim, he had a 10th in Zolder, he was 5th at the Nürburgring, and then he didn't finish at the Sachsenring in the feature event. The best place was a 4th place finish. He's done that twice in sprint races, that in Zolder and at the Sachsenring. So right now he has everything to gain here with a 2nd place finish. And certainly before this hometown Audi crowd, which has filled a good part of the stadium here in Nuremberg. He wants to do the best he can. And Van Omen continues to keep the Peugeot fortunes right up there. Although right now, when it comes to the Manufacturers' Championship, the BMW team out in front, Peugeot second. And Winkelhock will help them in that area, but he's more concerned about picking up the victory here to get totally back into the points championship and also to get much closer to Laurent Aiello, who has fallen out and is not on the track right now. But that's your battle for the top three right there. Winkelhock, who has a lot of space. Here comes Van Omen once again on the back bumper of Pirot. He is trying very hard to get by. As far as feature races are concerned for Van Omen, he had a 4th place at Hockenheim. He was 4th at the Nürburgring, and he was 4th at the Sachsenring. His worst was 19th in Zolder. So he has done well with that one race at Zolder that was a problem. Just has not been able to get past that mark. So he's had a great race weekend here at the Norisring, though. He just had that very bad start. Which took him out of contention. He's had to work his way back. But right now, the race belongs to Jochen Winkelhock. He picks up his 2nd victory of the day. The Bugazzi team can celebrate once again. There it is, your top 10. Winkelhock first. Look at that, Vidali 5th. But the race day belongs to Jochen Winkelhock.
Yeah, I must say I'm happy because I give myself before really a lot of pressure, to win the race here, which I didn't expect to win both races because the first race was quite short, around 50 kilometers, and so there I expect that Aiello should win the race normally, but we have the better package. So finally I won both races, and I'm happy like a child, of course.
And the crowd's happy. They got to see the first real comparison between Peugeot and BMW. Points race, Aiello in front, Winkelhock now 2nd, Chicago's 3rd, and look at that, Jörg Van Omen with a good performance today is now 4th and climbing ever closer.
My impressions, it was a very nice race, it was a very tough race because it was, it was 3 times a very short race. Normally you have one long race. And the problem for me was to concentrate for the last 14 laps for the restart. That was very difficult because 14 laps is really very short and it's really very hard. I had a very bad start, so I had to fight a lot. The bad start because I had technical problems on the start. So I had to fight 14 laps like hell. But it was very nice. It's always nice when you finish then 2nd.
But it's even better when you finish 1st, particularly for Jochen Winkelhock. 4 in a row. But also for Audi fans, a great day. Manuel Pirot is on the podium right along with Winkelhock.
Really happy, but yesterday I wasn't lying. Things were going really, really bad, and well, I was more or less realistic, or that's the situation I was looking at. But in the qualifying, I was lucky. I did a very good time, and 4th on the grid gave me a lot of hopes. And the race developed in a way which was very good for me, although without the black flag, because my car is very good in the long run rather than at the beginning. Without the red flag and the accident, I think I could have made the 2nd place because I was starting to gain on the leaders. But I'm very happy, and I hope Alex Burgstaller will recover very soon. That's the main thing for us. And I'm happy because this circuit is very special. With so many people, you really want to do a good job here.
The next stop on the tour, the airport course in Wunsdorf. Super Touring Car Cup action going up into northern Germany. But right now the action's on the podium. And you can tell that Jochen Winkelhock knows what he's doing when it comes to a bottle of champagne. And that'll do it for our coverage of the Super Touring Car Cup race here at the Norisring in Nuremberg, Germany. We hope you enjoyed the coverage of the race today. This has been Milt Fitzwater reporting. And let's hope we see you in Wunsdorf when the 2nd half of the season gets underway in the Super Touring Car Cup. Watch in a moment. Jochen Winkelhock had a special treat for the fans after he won the race today.